Good morning, dear friends. Welcome back to our Conscious Living Spirits group of virtual meetings. We are so happy that we are here together starting 2022 with joy, happiness, and enthusiasm for a brand new year. Hope everyone did a good holiday time, had a good rest, and here we are back in our activities, virtually only, but hopefully very soon we'll be able to be all together again. So we are going to start our morning saying good morning to Vivi. Vivi is here, Luis from São Paulo, Brazil. So happy to see you guys here. Okay, Susanna, good morning. So our friends here. So we are going to start our morning with a reading from the book Happy Life, psychographic by Divaldo Franco by the spirit of Joana de Angelis. It's in the page 42 if anyone would like to join us in reading. But before we do, I want to say welcome to everyone. And if you're coming for the first time in our house, our spiritual room here, welcome. We are so happy that you could join us today. So the message goes, spread hope of better days to come. Never before has the need for the olive branch of hope been as great as it today. Hope fuels ideals and gives people the courage to tackle their own self-renewal, even when everything seems lost. Hope upholds the hero and the saint in their lofty purpose. Enshrining is within you. You never get discouraged, nor will if you feel forsaken when the circumstances call for the testimony and solitude. Beautiful message for us to start our year. So with that in mind, we say hello to Juan. So it's so good to be all back together here. So I invite everyone to join us in a prayer. Kind Heavenly Father, we are so thankful that we are here today, starting a brand new year of study and learning. So we ask all the good spirits in the name of Jesus to help us to embrace all the lessons. All the lessons goes to our heart. So in this new year, we can practice all the virtues we are learning, all the steps we need to take to better ourselves. Help all of us fill our heart with hope and happiness, and give us all the enthusiasm to keep going with lots of determination for a better days, to create a better days for all of us. We particularly pray for our dear friend João. May the good spirits inspire him so he can bring his study and share with us everything he has learned about the topic happiness. So we are so thankful and grateful that we are all here together. In the name of Jesus we pray. So be it. Dear friends, we have our friend João. He comes all the way for the Spirits Group of New York. Bring it in. We are so thankful that you could join us. And you tell us a little bit about what we learned, what you study about happiness. So we are thankful. And the words with you, my dear friend João. So welcome.
Thanks, Abigail. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here, to be invited to open the Sunday activities for Conscious Living Spiritist Group for the year of 2022. When I was invited by Andrea to talk and start the year, she specifically asked for a subject that talks about a new year. And I was thinking what could be of interest. And then I thought about happiness. Why happiness? Because in the end, what are we looking for? We are always, when we start a new year, we are always making lists, wishes, hope, and in the end, all humanity are looking always for happiness. How can we achieve happiness? So we are going to take a look at it from the Spiritist perspective, but also from other perspectives, because it's important that we understand where does the concept comes from and how different beliefs view happiness. So to start here in this country, the necessity of happiness was formally introduced in 1776 by Thomas Jefferson when he penned the Declaration of Independence. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is one of the most famous phrases in the United States Declaration of Independence, and one of the most influential sentences in the history of the English language. It reads like this: "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." So, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are listed amongst the rights of all people, but such ideas, they transcend American society. If we look, for instance, in Buddhism, Buddhism talks about happiness. It's a central theme of the Buddhist teachings, because for ultimate freedom from suffering, Buddhism has the noble Eightfold Path that leads its practitioner to nirvana, a state of everlasting peace. It is only achieved by detaching from all the passions, needs, and wants of life. So here we start seeing that true happiness comes when we start detaching ourselves from things of this physical life. The Eightfold Path is divided in three categories: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental cultivation. So, wisdom is the right view and understanding the right intention. Ethical conduct is the right speech, the right action, and the right livelihood. And the mental cultivation, which is the right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So we can see there that Buddha, when he started sharing his ideas and in his search of enlightenment, he came across the understanding that the pursuit of happiness leads to an inner transformation, an inner search of peace, an inner search of how we behave ourselves. Encourages the generation of loving kindness and compassion, and the desire for the happiness and welfare of all beings. But if we talk about Catholicism, the ultimate end of human existence consists in happiness, in blessed happiness. It was described in the 13th century by the philosopher, theologian Thomas Aquinas as a beatific vision of God's essence in the next life. But what really matters to us more than anything else, and where we focus our studies and our learning, is in Spiritism. What does Spiritism talks to us about happiness? The progress of humankind in Spiritism has its principle, the practical application of the law of justice, love, and charity. We see the moral laws, book 3 of the Spirit's book, and this law is founded in the certainty of the future. So when we study the moral laws in Spiritism, we'll reach the last one, which is the law of justice, love, and charity. And that guides us on how we are supposed to achieve happiness according to the Spiritist teachings. Spiritism tells us that if you take away the certainty, you take away its cornerstone. All other laws, the moral laws, are derived from this law of justice, love, and charity, because it entails all of the conditions of human happiness. But let's go a little bit to see what Spiritism tells us in questions that we can find in Book 4, which is the nature of present joys and sorrows and the nature of future joys and sorrows. Question 920, Kardec asks the spirits, can human beings enjoy complete happiness while on earth? And the spirits answer, no, because life has been given to them as either a trial or an expiation. But it depends on them themselves to mitigate their misfortunes and to be as happy as possible while on earth. So to begin with, we understand and we need to accept the idea that we cannot enjoy complete happiness while here on earth. Because we know we live in a world of trials and atonements, or trials and expiation. And we are here on this reincarnation to achieve progress to our moral and intellectual evolution. And this moral and intellectual evolution entails facing the trials, which are the opportunities of learning and achieving a better understanding and better evolution, and the expiation or atonement, which is a readjustment for our past mistakes, is an opportunity for us to be reunited with those that hurt us before or that we hurt, and with them overcome our differences and achieve a better understanding of our true nature as eternal spiritual beings. So on question 921, Kardec then asks the spirits, we can understand that men and women will be happy on earth when they are finally transformed. But meanwhile, is it possible for anyone to enjoy relative happiness? And the spirits answer us, most of the time, they are the artisans of their own unhappiness. If they would practice the law of God, they would have spared themselves many misfortunes and enjoy a happiness as great as their existence on such a dense plane will allow. So, the spirits are telling us it is possible to enjoy relative happiness in our present existence. It depends on how we build our lives. We are, as they say, the artisans of our own unhappiness. Why we are the artisans with our own unhappiness? Because it depends on how we live our life and how we see the challenges that we face. If we understand the challenges as opportunities, if we understand the atonements as growth, we will be able to live with relative happiness. Of course, the challenges on our daily lives will cause us to face perturbations and mental imbalances. But as long as we understand that these are temporary, that like Chico once heard from the mother of Jesus, all pass, this will also pass when he was struggling. We need to have this in the back of our minds when we are facing the challenges, we are facing the difficulties in our life. But then Kardec continues asking the spirits, is there a common standard of happiness for all? And the spirits answer, for material existence, it is the possession of all that is necessary. For the moral life, it is a good conscience and faith in the future. So let's divide here how we live our lives. In the part of the material existence, what they say is the possession of all that is necessary, the basic necessity, not everything that we want, but everything that we need. We always say that in order to be able to help others, we need to be in peace with ourselves. If we are struggling, it is very difficult for us to be able to help others because we are too worried about ourselves. So if we are lacking basic necessities, we are going to struggle. But if we have the basic, and here again underlining basic necessities, we should be able to achieve relative happiness in this present existence. And then, on the moral aspect of our evolution, the Spirit tells us it's good conscience and faith in the future. Good conscience, meaning we are making an effort to do everything that is possible to achieve peace of mind in terms of us, ourselves, and those around us, and having faith in the future, understanding of our nature as eternal spirits, and understanding that we are all going to achieve perfection, that we will one day be perfected spirits, and that the more effort we make now to overcome the difficulties and the challenges, more we'll be able to shortcut our way to this perfect happiness. On question 933, this is a comment from Kardec. People are usually unhappy because of the importance attached to the things of this world. If they raise themselves above the narrow circle of the material life and raise their thoughts towards the infinite, which is their destiny, the vicissitudes of human existence would seem petty and childish, like the sadness of a child who suffers the loss of a toy that represented his or her supreme happiness. Kardec compares us to a child that receives the toy, and the toy is the most important thing in the world, and then you lose that toy, and you lost everything that was important. And he compares our attachment to material things and alert us not to be too attached to our material things. Again, the basic necessities are important. We need to live our lives, and the basic necessities are different for each one of us. That's very important also. We cannot generalize. Some people are able to live with less. Some people are not. They struggle. But all of us are able to live with the right amount that will allow us to find comfort in our lives. Continuing on question 967, this is already on the part that talks about future joys and sorrows. Kardec asks the spirits, what does the happiness of good spirits consist of? And the spirits answer, in knowing all things, in feeling no hatred, jealousy, envy, ambition, or any of the passions that make people unhappy. The love that unites them is a source of supreme happiness. So here, the Spirit tells us, what should we fight to overcome to achieve the happiness of good spirits? And again, Kardec is not asking here of perfect spirits, just good spirits. As we move into a world of regeneration, which the difference between a world of trials and atonements, or trials and expiations, and a world of regeneration is that in a world of regeneration, goodness prevails over evil. In a world of trials and atonements, evil prevails over goodness. So as we go into this transition to a world of regeneration, our aim to become good spirits is to overcome hatred, jealousy, envy, and ambition. All these passions that cause us to be unhappy. Why? Because hatred, jealousy towards others are all the instruments that in the end affect oneself, affect us, and it may not affect others. When Chico Xavier say that when you hate someone, you send a copy and you keep the original, meaning you hurt yourself much more than you hurt the other. Jealousy affects you, barely affects the other. Envy, the others are living their lives. If you have envy, you are hurting yourself. So all these are passions that prevents us from achieve relative happiness. To achieve love of all of those around us, love that unites us, is the source of supreme happiness. We need to understand that we won't be able to do this in this lifetime. This is too much. We need to go step by step. But step by step is first recognizing our imperfections. Because if we don't even recognize our imperfections, how can we overcome them? So as we do our wishing list for the new year, let's look inside ourselves, see how much we have of this hatred, jealousy, envy, or the negative ambition, the ambition that hurts and prevents us from moving forward. Again, we need to want to live better lives. We need to be able to provide for those around us that depend on us. So a good source of ambition to achieve a better life is acceptable and understanding, but the ambition that blinds us and that makes us harm ourselves and others, that's the kind of ambition that can hurt us. So on question 968, Kardec asks the spirits, you place the absence of material needs among the conditions of happiness for spirits, but isn't the satisfaction of those needs a source of enjoyment for humans? And the spirits answer, yes, the gratification of their physical passions. When they cannot satisfy those needs, it is torture. That's for us to reflect. The absence of material needs. We have material needs. And when we achieve the satisfaction of those needs, shouldn't this be a source of enjoyment? And Kardec and the Spirit tells us, yes, but when they become torture because we cannot achieve, then we are hurting ourselves. We are causing us to struggle. And the objective is to try to find the material needs necessary for our survival, for living a peaceful life, but not becoming torture the lack of these physical needs, our physical passions. So when we start wanting to have the latest model of the car, the best house of the neighborhood, and we are not able to achieve that, that's when we start torturing ourselves. We start becoming unhappy and we start struggling. Paul, the apostle, on the question, Spirit's book, question 1009, tells us that the objective of humankind is to gravitate towards divine union. To accomplish it, three things are necessary: justice, love, and knowledge. There are three things that are contrary to and oppose this union: ignorance, hatred, injustice. Justice. We know that there is divine justice, and we need to understand divine justice as justice that will take care of our lives and will take care of everything that happens to us. We cannot claim ignorance when we are discussing divine justice, divine law, when we learn about it, when we understand about it. Of course, when we talk about love and hatred, that we need to aim for universal love. And universal love means following the teachings of our Master Jesus, love one another, and do not do unto others what you don't want others to do unto you. Even more, do to others what you would want others to do unto you. That's the basic of universal love, and that's what we should aim to achieve. Knowledge is important. It's the part of the two wings of evolution, the moral and the intellectual, because with knowledge we are able to progress, to achieve a better understanding of human nature. And that's what Spiritism brings to us, the need to learn, to study, because by having knowledge and, much more important, applying this knowledge on our daily lives, we'll be able to overcome the sense of injustice and be able to fight for justice amongst all human beings, understanding that, again, we live in a world of trials and atonements. We won't be able to achieve perfection, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't fight for it according to our knowledge, according to our understanding. In the book of Ecclesiastes, we learn that happiness is not of this world. So this is not an idea that Spiritism brings to us. This is an idea that already exists from the Bible. In the book Hoping for Happiness from Barnabas Piper, he tells us, our problem is that we expect temporal things to deliver lasting happiness. This is very important. We aim for things that will bring us immediate happiness, which are temporal things, and they are not going to bring us lasting happiness. Cardinal Morlow, on the Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 5, item 20, he tells us that neither fortune nor power, not even a flourishing youth, are the essential conditions of happiness. Not even these three coveted conditions together can bring happiness, since we constantly hear, even in the middle of the most privileged classes, people of all ages complaining bitterly about their situation. So what the Cardinal Morlow is telling us here, that these physical ambitions of power, of fortune, or being young, not all three together can bring happiness, because these are all temporal things. We have fortune in this life, we can spend our life having fortune, but the use we make of our fortune is what's going to make a difference. Power, for those that have some power, how you use the power to help others to evolve, that's what's important, not power itself. And youth, of course, is temporary. We are all going to get old if we continue living. So youth, we see our youth today with a lot of struggles of trying to find their path. So these are not conditions that bring us happiness. We need to look for other sources of happiness. It's interesting that material prosperity has a surprisingly modest impact of happiness. In the US, for instance, if they've been measuring happiness since 1947, and we had massive increase in wealth and income in this country for the past 70 years, 75 years, and happiness have not increased. So that is a clear sign that material wealth and material income is not the source of happiness. So psychologists have been asking, this is the holy grail type of question, what actually makes people happy? They study the science of happiness. Money, love, and health only affect our level of happiness by up to 10%. That means if some of those things in our life are not going as we have planned, it really does not matter. We can still scientifically increase our happiness no matter what's our life circumstance. Once I read research saying that if you win the lottery, for those that have won the lottery, how long does it take for their state of happiness to go back to the previous state before winning the lottery? Surprising enough, 6 months. It only takes 6 months for those that won the lottery to go back to the same level of happiness they had before. So it doesn't really make a difference. When they talk about love here, love means finding a partner, finding love as a companion, not universal love. It's a different thing. Not the agape in Greek that means the universal love. There are 7 different words for love in Greek, and unfortunately only one in English. So we use different words, the same word for different meanings. So we need to understand and accept that these aspects of physical life is not going to bring us happiness in the sense that we think they would. So what can we do to achieve happiness? We need to look for spirituality versus materiality. We need to go beyond our physical lives. Happiness is a mental state of well-being characterized by positive emotions ranging from contentment to intense joy. This phrase from an unknown that says that being happy doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It means that you've decided to look beyond the imperfections. Very simple, but very true. If we get stuck in the reasons that are making us unhappy, if we look to our unhappiness, it becomes very difficult to look beyond and find the sources of happiness. Abraham Lincoln said that most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. So happiness is our own personal choice. You choose. That's what Abraham Lincoln, one of the spiritual guides of this nation nowadays, tells us. The lens you choose to view yourself and the world through that determines how you interpret what is happening. You can choose to find happiness in small everyday things. You can choose to interpret what happens in a positive way or in a negative way. So again, we are going to choose how we see everything that happens to us and choose happiness over unhappiness. One of the recipes, focus on the present. Don't dwell on the past and don't worry on the future. Because Ellen Keller, she told us, when one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one that has been opened for us. What does it mean? We keep looking at the struggles that we are facing We keep looking on the opportunities we missed, which are the doors that are closed, and we forget to look at opportunities. Every day brings new opportunities. Every day brings new chances of us finding happiness, finding new paths for our journey. So if we choose to keep our eyes stuck in the past or keep looking ahead without paying attention to what's happening in the present, we are going to find it very difficult to find happiness. Yesterday is a memory and we cannot change it. Tomorrow is just a fantasy in our mind right now. If we think and worry less about yesterday and tomorrow, we might miss a great deal of happiness that is available today. Just look out of the window. What do you see there? There are opportunities for happiness today. Dostoevsky told us, man is fond of counting his troubles, but he does not count his joys. If he counted them up as he ought to, he would see that every lot has enough happiness provided for it. Again, don't forget to be grateful. The opportunities are there. Notice, appreciate, be grateful. Grateful for every opportunity we have nowadays. If you think your life is surrounded by misery, look around and look out for those that are struggling much more than we are, and many of those that are able to face their challenges with positivity, with a different way of seeing it, and we'll see that are we being fair to ourselves, to our opportunities that we have every day. One of the simplest and quickest ways to turn a negative and sour mood into a more positive is to be grateful. Don't forget about gratitude, or you may forget about the happiness that is already in your life. Let's look around us. Think of our lives. We have many things to be grateful about our present lives. Why not focus on this instead of focusing on the troubles and the sources that we call unhappiness in our lives? Well, the important thing here, a very important recipe to find happiness, get rid of less valuable desires. Epicurus, the philosopher, said, if you want to make a man happy, add not unto his riches, but take away from his desires. If we eliminate our desires of material wealth, we are going to be happier. If we eliminate the superfluous in our life, the superfluous needs and the superfluous desires, it is a good path to find happiness. If we want less instead of more, our desires are more likely to be fulfilled. And if we throw away a few of those desires, let's think about them and let's eliminate some of them on our New Year's list. So if we are able to eliminate some of these desires, we'll be less stressed and less worried. Eleanor Roosevelt told us, since you get more joy out of giving joy to others, you should put a good deal of thought into the happiness that you are able to give. Help someone else find happiness. So now we are getting into the way of, to achieve happiness, we need to give others happiness, help others find happiness. Now we are getting to the right path that we should follow when we start thinking less about ourselves and more about others. Richard Cumberland, a philosopher, wrote in 1672 that promoting the well-being of our fellow humans is essential to the pursuit of our own happiness. We see that this is old. It's way before our time that have those that have been talking about the necessity to help others. In Buddhism, we find this very beautiful phrase that talks about thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. So, if you are able to share your happiness with others, help others achieve happiness, your own happiness is never going to decrease, it's actually going to increase. This Chinese proverb is very interesting also. If you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. For those who like go fishing, I don't. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. Remember what I said? Win the lottery, in 6 months, your happiness is back to the level that it was before. But if you want happiness for a lifetime, help someone else. You see that we'll find in all cultures the necessity of helping others as the recipe for finding our own happiness. Chico Xavier tells us that happiness does not come from possessions of power, but rather from a wise and dedicated heart. In the book that's not translated, called Sinais de Rumo, in the lesson called Devolution, Return, Emmanuel tells us, you want happiness. However, happiness is a construction to be done. The foundation is yourself. Remember, you always get what you give of yourself. The return is of law. Even if in crumbs, distribute hope and joy. Even in suffering, offer others a smile. As much as you can, make others happy. Little by little, you'll get 100-fold of what you sow. Don't forget, happiness is return. Our dear Chico Xavier telling us how to achieve happiness. In this poem, The Soul of the World, again, Chico Xavier, he tells us, some wanted a better job, others just a job. Some wanted a richer meal, others just a meal. Some wanted a more soothing life, others just to live. Some wanted more understanding parents, others just to have parents. Some wanted to have blue eyes, others to see. Some wanted a beautiful voice, others to speak. Some begged for silence, others for the ability to hear. Some wanted new shoes, others to have feet. Some wanted a car, others the ability to walk. Some wanted the superfluous, others simply the necessary. You can see how beautiful these teachings from Chico Xavier. Let us look at what we have in our lives. Let's look at what we really want to do with our lives, what we want to achieve, and what we are doing with our lives. And let's focus on achieving the possible happiness, the relative happiness that is available to each and every one of us in this present existence. And remember always, God is with us, always. Thank you very much for this opportunity of sharing this study, this lecture, and this opportunity of talking about such an important aspect of our everyday life, which is to try to find happiness in our daily lives.
Thank you, João, so much. And Juan said everything. Gratitude for inspiration presentation, much appreciated. So I guess he's speaking from all of us, from our heart. I really appreciate some of the topics you brought, you put in perspective. So many things like a friendly reminder. One I wrote here, I particularly loved. We expect temporal things to deliver lasting happiness. I think it's a learning that all of us somehow in this past year experience, right? Trying to
Yes.
buy bread at the butcher is the same thing, right? So
Yeah.
you brought many things that put us in perspective for us to meditate and reflect so we can find many moments of happiness, and it does not depend on what we have and what we buy. It depends how we treat each other and how we experience things within, right?
Yes.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you very much for these different perspectives that you brought and gave us a lot of food to reflect on. Okay?
Thank
So
you.
could we invite you to do a prayer for us? We'd really appreciate that, if you could.
Sure.
Thank you.
And we elevate our thoughts. We thank the spiritual benefactors for the opportunity of being here today, the opportunity of sharing the teachings of our Master Jesus. We ask the spiritual benefactors to guide us and protect us throughout the year, to give us strength to overcome the challenges, to give us hope and understanding, to help us put in practice in our daily lives all the teachings we receive, to have a peaceful time with our family, our friends, our loved ones. We extend vibrations of love and peace to all those in need, especially those struggling through this pandemic, that we may find comfort, understanding, and above all, faith to overcome the challenges, to find hope, to find happiness, to find through love for one another. Thankful for this opportunity of once again being reunited in your name, Master. We ask permission to close this meeting. So be it.
Thank you very much, dear friend João. We are sending to you and to all the people in New York City our warm regards. You guys need a little warmness there, right? It's very, very
Yes.
cold in the present moment. So we send our warmth from our heart to help you out, okay? Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being here. Very generous of you to be here and share your study with us. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, dear friends, we are finishing our presentation, wishing everyone a good start of the year. And I would like to say that we are going to be presenting all our study virtual. So join us in our courses, and we'll be back on Tuesday night with the Portuguese talk. And we have the courses. Join us and check the Facebook. We have all the information. I wish you everybody a very nice day. Beijo para todos.